What's good, YouTube? It's Team Rocket. Coming to you guys with a new deck. This is legal as of last Friday. It is the Evilswarm deck from the Hidden Arsenal 7. So I was talking to one of the guys at Locals today. We kind of decided that since this is a new deck, what we wanted to do was, one, show you the deck and how it works, and also show you how to side against it. So this will kind of have a little bit of something for everybody. I'll put a link down here in the bottom somewhere for the other guy's channel is Sergio with Team Boss. He's going to be doing the side deck for how to, or even main deck options, ways to beat Evilswarm, for those of you who are worried about it. For the rest of you who want me to try the deck, I'll show you how I play it and show you how it works for me here. So first things first, you have the 3 caster. Caster works really well. He's basically, sort of works like a Marauding Captain, gives you an additional normal summon. One thing to keep in mind is once he's on the field, if he negates the effect, you still are going to get the additional normal summon. It's more of a condition. Veiling him or anything like that won't help you. He's going to get the summon anyway. Then you play the 3 vanillas, 3 heliotrope. He's a 1950 beater. Basically, he's your rabbit target. He's also big, gets over Thunder King and other pesky monsters. I play 3 Mandragoras just because. Oh, some people play 2. I would play 3. Because you want to make Ophion as soon as possible. And also for the Bahamut plays, you need to have 3 Evilswarms in your hand to make that work. This also makes your Shockmaster and Ophion plays live until we get Circeon or whatever that new card's called. The other member of the family we don't have yet. The next card is 3 Thunderbird. People say this works like Rabbit. It's not as good as Wind Up Rabbit is. It's bigger than Wind Up Rabbit. But you can't just let him run away whenever you want. If you just summon this with no protection, your opponent's just going to summon a monster bigger than 1650 and run it over. So that's unfortunate. You have to wait until somebody activates an effect. So you usually want to have this set with either one of your own spell or traps or something, or even a Veiler their monster so that you're just going to run away. Once you get him to run away for the first time, he becomes a beast and really hard to deal with. 1950 is huge, and they can't, deep prison to get him off the field. He sticks around for a while, so that helps. And then I play one more Evilswarm. I play a Lantern. It basically works like an exiled force for face-up monsters. You can search for them, so you only really need the one, and it helps for those problem monsters. Your opponent has a Shein or something like that that's just giving you a hard time. You just blow it up with the Lantern. That's pretty good. Next thing, we have the 2 Rescue Rabbits. Obviously, to get the Heliotropes, you don't need to play Sabersaurus. You don't want to draw all those normals. It's just not worth it. Plus, you don't really have the extra deck space to fit the Loggies and Dolkas. So I just play the 2 rabbits for the 3 Heliotropes. Once I get a Daigusto Emerald, that'll go in here too, so it'll help recycle some of the normals for the other rabbit. I'm also playing the 2 Tour Guides. Just because it's a 1-card Exceed, gives you outs to big monsters. You make an Acid Golem or Zenmanes. Zenmanes is really good. I thought it was going to be, underwhelming, but it won some games today pretty much all on its own. Don't underestimate Zenmanes, and just having the 1-card Exceeds are good. Tour Guide's also dark. That works out well in the deck. 2 Effect Veilers. Once you get the Ophion on the field and you have the Infestation card, the only thing you have to worry about is monster effects. Your opponent's monster's blowing up your guy, so use Effect Veilers to protect your Ophion. That's good. Also stops your opponent from going first turn Rabbit into Ophion or something like that. Gores, because it's not a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh deck unless you play Gores. You guys know. Dark Armed. This is ridiculous because if you do the math, it takes 2 monsters to make an Ophion. Ophion's also dark. Most of your monsters are dark. So by the time your Ophion dies, you've got your 3 monsters for Dark Armed. So what happened to me a lot was, I sit on my Ophion for a turn or 2. My opponent finally gets away to get it off the field, and then I go Dark Armed, blow up all their stuff, make another Ophion. Like, it's too good. Dark Armed's too good. That's it for the monsters. On to the spells. You play 3 Pandemics. You search this with Ophion. Some people say because you search it with Ophion, you only need 2. I play 3, and here's the reason why. If your opponent goes first and they set some back rows, you need to make an Ophion. And it's really hard to make an Ophion through a Bottomless or through a Torrential. But if you go, say, you go Rabbit, and they go, okay, that's fine, you know, and then you banish the rabbit and get 2 heliotropes, and they go bottomless, and you don't have infestation pandemic, like they just ruined your day. But if you have one of these in your hand, you can pandemic the 2 heliotropes, attack with the heliotropes that are now immune to spells and traps, and then main phase 2 you make an Ophion and search another one of these. So that to me seems pretty good, being able to protect the first Ophion while you make more. Those are good. And then I play more protection for the Ophion, being 3 Forbidden Dress. Dress protects them from destruction effects. Also stops them from being targeted. So if you know your opponent has a D-Prison or something and you're attacking in an open field, you know, you can dress first and attack per game or something. The biggest advantage to dress over something like Lance is when you dress your Ophion, he's still a 1950, which is pretty big. If you Lance your Ophion, he goes to 1750, and Lance doesn't protect you from monster effects. It only protects you from spells and traps. So, you know, you have these to protect you from, you know, D-Prisons, Compulse, things like that. And then these protect you from basically anything else. So those are really good. Also, damage modifiers, just because, you know, your guys are 1950. You start putting a dress on your opponent's monsters. I mean, they got to have some pretty beefy cards on the field to survive that. Then you have one-ofs. I have Reinforcement of the Army and Allure. There's the 3 warriors and the casters, so it speeds up the deck. Everything's dark, so Allure, why not? And then what people are calling the Trinity. But I don't know if... I mean, I don't like Heavy Storm, and then people in like the OCG are going away from Dark Hole, and then you have the Reborn. Everybody's like, oh, but if you have monsters on the field, you know, you don't want to Dark Hole your own Ophion. But if your opponent puts a bunch of monsters on the board, and you have an Ophion on the field, it means you also search for a Pandemic. So you could Dark Hole, Pandemic your Ophion, everything else dies except for the Ophion or any other Evilswarm on your side of the field. So Dark Hole's fine. I don't play any MSTs main decks, so the Heavy Storm puts in work. Especially against like Fire Fists, where you know that their spells and traps aren't real spells and traps, they're just attack modifiers, just get all those out of the way. And then Reborn, because obvious. Can't believe I explained the Trinity that much. You guys should know. Onto the traps, this might be a little different from what some of you expect. I play 3 Compulse. Basically the main threat to Ophion, like I said, in addition to monster effects, is Exceed monsters. Because Ophion stops level 5 or higher, but if you can stop their Pearl or their Maestroke from attacking over your Ophion, you know, you just compulse their Exceed back, or you know, compulse the pieces before they can even make an Exceed. And having the chain ability is good too, because if, say, you know, you activate something and your opponent goes like Lance, you could always chain a second one or whatever to, you know, get the desired effect off. Compulse is good. Then we have 2 Torrentials. Kind of like with Dark Hole, you can activate Torrential and then go Pandemic, save your monsters, and theirs all die. You can also set Torrential with a Thunderbird, and then when your opponent goes, they summon a monster thinking they can just run over the Thunderbird. You go Torrential, chain the Thunderbird's effect, Thunderbird runs away, you got the Torrentials to blow up their monsters, and your Thunderbird comes back at 1950 on the next standby phase. So those are legit. And then you have the Solemn Duo. I almost side the Judgment out almost every time, but Warning is good because it's Solemn Warning. Those cards are limited for a reason. And then I play one last card. Infestation Infection. This could probably come out. It's just kind of a throw-in. It's something else to search with Ophion. And it also lets you put, you know, like the Heliotropes you don't want in your hand, you can put them back in the deck and search for things. I use it a lot to search either for a Thunderbird, because they're good beaters if you have to grind. You can also search for the Lantern, because sometimes you have a problem monster, you can flip this, shuffle your, you know, Mandragora or whatever you don't want into the deck, grab this guy, blow up their stuff. That's good. This works best if you wait until your opponent uses MST, then chain this to the MST, get the effect off once, and then they basically wasted their MST. So, and it's alright, it's just kind of a throw-in, like I said, and it's free if you search it with Ophion. On to the extra deck. Obviously, you have the 3 Ophion. Some people play 2, I like 3, I mean, just because, especially when you side the viruses and stuff in, you're going to be tributing these off a lot. But 3 Ophion are pretty good. Basically, if you guys don't know, when this card has an Exceed material on it, neither player can special summon level 5 or higher monsters Shuts down heroes, shuts down Dark World. I mean, agents, spell books, anything, Karkuris, anything that makes those big monsters. So obviously the tough decks are stuff like Inzectors, Windups that make exceeds and not that don't have levels. The second effect of Ophion is you detach one and search for an infestation spell or trap card. What that does is it gets you the infection and the pandemic to either protect the Ophion or recycle pieces back in the deck. So there's Ophion. He's got 25-50 attack too, so that's really important, as you'll see when I get to the side deck. Bahamut, Evilswarm Bahamut, it's basically Big Eye. You detach one, discard an Evilswarm, and take your opponent's monster. This won me several games today, all on its own. I wish I had another one. I'll have to try and get another one. That's pretty good. Nightmare. I play Nightmare because people tell me to play Nightmare. I guess it's good against windups. I've never played against a windup player. I mean, this deck's really new, but he's kind of in there because he has to be. If your opponent special summons monsters, you can detach one, book their monster. I guess it's good if you go Ophion and then this next to it. You pretty much win the game from there, but yeah, I never used it. That might come out. My Stroke, MVP. I mean, you got to have this. Everybody's extra deck needs a My Stroke. I play Dweller because people tell me it's good. I figure if you have Ophion on the field, you're beating Mermills anyway, but I guess it stops Dark World too. Kind of a win war card, I suppose, for this deck anyway. Cowboy, obvious. Black Ship of Corn, obvious. Pearl, Mirror Match, run over those Ophion. That's good. Also gets over, Shein, other problem cards. 16 Shockmaster. With the Mandragoras, you can make this actually quite a bit. I don't have an Ouroboros yet. Ouroboros will be in here also. I have to make space for it somewhere. Maybe that Nightmare comes out. But Shockmaster, auto win against spellbooks, call spells. Game's over. Then you have the threes for the Tour Guide, Zenmane's MVP, Acid Golem, run over those problem monsters, and then the Leviair. With the Dark Arm, the Allure, sometimes your stuff will get banished, whatever. Rabbit you can get back, I suppose. Taking your opponent's Rabbit or something like that's always good too. Sometimes you can bring your Thunderbird back that same turn, for some extra damage or something. So I feel like those are pretty much staples. I do want to get a Leviathan or a Giga Brilliant or a Leviathan in here, just because I've had a few times where I need another Dark in the graveyard, and you want to go Tour Guide, and then pitch a Tour Guide, and these don't really give you an immediate way to do that without a little more setup. And then last one, I play a Catastor, basically because the Mandragoras and Veiler, or Thunderbird and Veiler, make this. And that wrecks a lot of decks. It's also a virus target for deck devastation anyway, and just the one of. So there's that. Some people will play a 1 level 8 Synchro, Stardust, or Scrap Dragon just because you have Gores, Dad, the Gores token, and Veilers, but I don't really have space for it. Onto my side deck. Let's see. Here's the this is just epic right here. Being able to play 3 Eradicators. I play 2 DDVs because it's not as good right now, but the 3 Eradicators. You play against Spellbooks, you side in all 3 of these. You play against like Windups and Zectors, you can side the 2 deck devies. Basically, you're gonna make an Ophion like first or second turn, pretty much every game, and you can just tag these once they come up with a reason to get rid of your Ophion. If you feel like there's a threat to it, you can just pop it off, see their hand, destroy their draws for the next couple turns. These are great. If you have XYZ Reborn, it's also really stupid. So you go Ophion, set this. Your opponent goes, they draw, you flip this, chain the XYZ Reborn. Since this is a tribute, it's like a cost. So the Ophion goes to the graveyard. You call spells. XYZ Reborn revives the Ophion. So you still have your Ophion, you still have your Pandemic, and you got a virus off. That's pretty cool. I don't have any XYZ Reborns, or I would be doing that as well. More side deck stuff, Defissures, Dark World, you guys know, stops a bunch of stuff. Then I play 2 Breakthrough Skills. This is more for stuff like what your opponent might bring in against you to try to slow you down. You can get Consecrated Lights, stop them with this. You can stop your opponent's Ophion, your opponent's Shein, Naturia Beast, Barkion with these. Just all around good multi-purpose cards. Being able to basically Veiler twice is always good. I played 2 Gozen match. Everything in the deck's dark, so you can side these in against like Dino Rabbit players, or anything else that uses a bunch of different elements. Like I ran into Gladiator players, like Gladiator, Fire Fist stuff. You can play these against kind of rogue decks like that. Just slow other people down. This will help against Elemental Dragons as well, because they've got a bunch of different things going on in those decks. I'll play 1 Book of Moon. Break Up Exceed plays. Just seems good. You can book problem stun monsters that people side in against you. And then I didn't main deck them, so I had to side the 3 MSTs. I just love this card. It's really good against Mermails. Once again, problem cards. People side skill drains or something like that, and they're coming. You can side these to stop them. Blows up Messenger apiece. Just an all-around good card. I felt like I had to side him since I wasn't main decking him. So that's pretty much it. Let me know if you guys have any questions. And also, like I said before, check out the link for Team Boss's channel. They're going to put up the deck on the video on how to side deck against this deck. So you guys will learn a lot from them as well, especially if you aren't playing Evilswarms. You'll know what you need to do for the next format. So there it is. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.